Yeah, amiro po lubanga. Dong tini abino ka bogolok. Stories angeo mabe watiki ngechi Bible watiki stories maduong mapolata ma lubagi kwa padano. Dong dano chanani gin gibedo dano chal an, dano chane gibedo gini chal dano chal inni. Dong ingeo kwa wanyi stories gimono ngotime. Dong otime ni otime ikom dano. Stories mulo wa gichoy stories pe gichoy ikom le ento gichoy ikom dano. Dano machalo an, dano machalo in. Dong today I want us to come and share a bit of story from the Bible. It is a kind of a sad story, It's not a good story. It's a very sad story. I wish it should not happen to human beings, something like that. Jamune kinan mabeko chwer chwin ke kwan story chal en ko time ikomi mangenya jum chal en matika cherka kwana ne nyukon wa cherka lok yani time kom dano. Tie dano gini mapola ta, tie story gini mapola ta the Bible mai chamu kene wan machalo dano time komwa ento nungo ichamu kene agi ichwiny mamewa nyo agi miri mamewa. Dong story enini tie ikom lacho mo ma giluongo ni Ahithophel pangeo kangan mo okwano book pa second Samuel. Book pa second Samuel. Second Samuel, what is Uriah story enini? Kon wachero ginwa winyo dong wiye. I want to run a little bit of the background of this gentleman's story. Amiro akar kongi wiye ikidma story enini tikere donka kon wachero kwana no watigi a little bit of understanding of ngomane mo berkatimene. Enini tie machalo ga matime kom dano. Gin moko time komi makene no chwer chunyi. Icha mukene ka igwako gine chunyi kuno. Bonge kwanye cha nyo bonge bolo chien. Ijuenge karmano cha mukene duo kawano inae. And forgiveness sometimes it come back and it disturb you or it destroy you yourself. That is the whole story about this Ahithophel. Nyeri obedo ngan moma oyuek, ngan moma ngere, ngan moma ikar chaneni ka logo gimo dano winyo nyo lotiyo kede. Ngan moma tie ma tigi rom ka ikar man metelani tigi rom moma ka obedo kin lo dongo kamo lo dongo tie dogo lo dongo winyo lok pere lotiyo gi lok pere. Dong jal enini ginmo cerkatime ikwa mamere ochero o damage ikwa mamere okero damage ikome ochero wano en story enini kidma watiga cerka kwana ne kere kon gidi Bible wanonya munu nyeri ye ngomo time komeni kono bedro danaman ma chalo you're forgiving of other things that people might do it in your life. You would have been better person. You would have remained a good person. Kibono ikarchana lo tiga wajana keren. Ento o holding keja mo gimo mutime ikom family pere nyo ikome nyo kwa pere o holding o mako jo eneni chwinye. Dong man background ma inonya munu kon wachero wa temo winyone story kidma jali ochero o wane kede. Dong tigi man Ahithophel obedo ngarachiel ma onongo tie ikar pa la loch onyo King David. Ahithophel obedo ikare ma onongo la loch David tie I king tiga lo kingdom mano en gin gitie ikare chanani. Dong I kingdom chanani onongo bongeo mabe story kidma David obino kede rom ko wakwane story enini. Gitima tek ineno wa gitima tek gitima be ga weng gitima be lobo tugi no tima be gitimo lony lo mo tugi bene tima tek ineno wa kara man no David tikere kaloji donc Ahithophel en no bedo ng'arechiel matima chalo lo mitam dano magimiyo tam bot dano chal David ikar mono en ti lodge ineno wa ka ng'olo kod mogo tie nyo miyo tam mogo nyo ga mogo tie mamiro gini ologe ye ino nyamuno Ahithophel ka owaje logi David mar tich kere man ikare chanani tido ngat mo madit ti ngat mo mabe ikare man ma David tika lodge donc Ahithophel gin motime obergi man ibupa Samuel me ariyo kongo winyo gine wiye mo manok ikwan tie maduong wakwano gini mapol ibupa 2 Samuel chura ne ariyo chenge para bichiel Ahithophel 2 Samuel chapter 16 2 Samuel chapter 16 verse 23 wada Uriah story pa lacho enini ma wada ni munu now in the day that the advice Ahithophel gave was like that of one who inquire of God. That was how both David and Absalom regarded all of Ahithophel's advice akwangi labacholi ni mununga ikare meno tam duchu ma Ahithophel mio nen chalo lok palo banga ki kome tamme riego ma Ahithophel mio nen be kit meno bot Daudi ka bot Absalom bene wangeo Daudi nyo David giket Absalom Daudi won Absalom obedo wopa Daudi wachero gino wa winyo more story ngoma weratin wabino ka wajeloke nini. We are going to hear more about the story between the three gentlemen here. There's Ahithophel, there's David, there's Absalom. This is where the story is going to be within these three people. So Ahithophel was a man of a deep insight, measured word, and sharp discernment. He was so trusted that when Absalom, David's son, began his rebellion, Ahithophel's counsel could tip the balance in the war. But what led Ahithophel to this crossroad was what could have shattered the bond between him and the king. Ikarama wakwano lok eneni Samuel Maria chura para bichel chinga piro wadek kuja wanongo mun. Ahithophel bedola mitam mamiyo tambonga yomo chwin David kachel gi wore machala Absalom. Tiro wanongo kan Ahithophel eneni ngadma lok pere ka logo griago machal mo banga mo miyo ire o miyo joni gitigi gen ye Ahithophel ober ka miyo tam kidma karchana lwen tiga time kere gam kana tiga time kere bot dana chal David kidma miro gitim kere kidma David miro lo kere gila ikara erni donc ngomutime Absalom, David's own son, figure of beauty and strength, began to rise in the heart of the people of Israel. He positioned himself in the way that captured the attention and eventually the loyalty father people of Israel. He got a chariot horse and 50 men to run ahead of him. This created an image of importance and leadership. It was clear the display of power and royalty present, not authorized by the king, but impressive enough to make the people stop and take notice. We are poor ikarmo abitemo timo story pa David kachel gi word me Absalom. Man story enini. Absalom pene nyego man me bero dola tela ni obini chwinya mere ne be dola tela. Donc kay mere be dola tela ni wone potiga lo wone potit e rom. Tidong en or rebelling ikom wone machalo David. Kawa wiyopo story na bitemo tirone kar mo karangej donc Absalom timor ya pere men nane mun weri eni gene dano mar en so good digo chon chero chungu iyo ko chero chungu iyo kuja dano man magi wire dano man magi wor gini gi kar en gi doganke ni no Absalom morogi yani tiga nyuru be kire nya ene be bod dano nyo ene romo bedo king mabe man kama story enini tiye ikarchana bitim story pa David kachel gi Absalom mo chero moro monyi kom wona mamire ne wona o wari lo gi ka rom pa wona ento story enin tie surrounding ngo mo chero ka lok ye madid malobe gi ko pa Ahithophel kamani no kwanya ni 2 Samuel chura Rio 2 Samuel chapter 15 verse 3 to 4. 2 Samuel 15 3 to 4. 3 to 4 watching on. Yadek watching on. Then Absalom will say to him, look, your claim are valid and proper, but there is no representative of the king to hear you. Inanawa. Absalom chero chungi yoni ka dano man magitigi complain pini kama kingdom tie nyo kama king tie ki tigi pero per mo ngom par mo ma nyo kono tin gimona mana iter ka dorne bor king icher ka wajane bor king chirong Absalom nong ochungi yo dano man magitigi ko claim ene nong gibino before gicher ka dor lok ene bor king non kong ginongo Absalom ma bedo wopa David King David chirong Absalom na ngomaraj enong joni kitire story tugi bot Absalom chirong man ngoma Absalom tiga wajane bot dana mano gitiga bino gi complain ma megini ya dek wajingo chi Absalom waja bot gini nenba lokinen mit doktia ti ento ngerimo pe tie ma kabaka okero ma biwinyo loki inenawa Absalom dok wacho ni kono yam gikero an aye abedo la ngol kop iloboni kono be tutwal kono ngad ma tie kiloke nyo pirone tugi bino bora chi angole kop mati chot watiga winyi lok enwa man wo pa David makombe tiga miro tiga kelo like atema mun ka Uriah kar en lo man tiga miro timo ku ikomuone Absalom is trying to take over the kingship from David, but in a different way, in a way that other people might not realize it until when he started later on. We will see how it will go in the other reading. When people approach to bow before him, he will stretch out his hand, pull the person close, and kiss them. This small gesture builds connection, familiarity, and trust. By doing this consistently, Absalom won the heart of the people of Israel. Inanawa, kimbani na wajane. Absalom bedo ngan mo ma riek. Dong iriako perni en gaman matino tino. Ngeo inki miri dano mar in always miri tim gama be madano na yagine ni be. Yomu chwingi dok bene a muole pin inanawa ki muole bodano dano nene ya ngat ene ni kire be. Lo kadi in kay beri kono ni beddo ngat ba wuye tek kono ngat mon ba bedi ni mar lo ko wa no dan ni no ra ngat ene twer tela ko ineno Absalom molo ko me pin do ko ko per pin yala lok ma be dano gitigi mar ko me ineno dan cha ko mar ne ya bir me cer kidi abon wen wajingo watiro nga cer ka cha ko lubu story pa Absalom ma be ba story eni ni cerka winye kon ma chako winye ma o I kama no ngamiria walore ye malobe gi kom Ahithophel wajingo I agiki memwara me angwen ne Absalom openyo kabaga ni alegi wek achit kabron kachobo kuonge na mayam akwongo bodlo banga man latin tiga waja bot wone nyamun baba anu ini yang chai kar chan ma gena na bi kwanga bor war nya munu an ka bino ka bedo kan ka agena karo bi romo abidok I gena kuje Hebron inena wa erinong plan me chago timo ku ikom wona pien yam akwongo kwong la dit ikare ikarema abedo i Gesur ilobo Syria kun awachi karuot odwaka tua i Jerusalem adachi abichiroka mie woro ya bungwen wachingo kabaka ogamoni ber ichiri kikuch chi Absalom ochiro i Kebron wawunye gini story enwa Absalom requested his dad, I did promise some time back that when you allow me, God, to go back to Jerusalem, I'll come and I will bless your name. This is what is happening here. Then his dad allowed him to go back there. Ikarama Absalom chira time. What we kong look enini I kabonin wabera kwane apar beach yario. Obedo ka malo digo chon jui chichung inged yo I dokchiel ma jo Jerusalem ka oneno dano mo ma okelo lok me alara bot kabaga en luongo dano no chi wacho bore ni in a gigang mene kachie dano meno wache ni an a ki Israel I kaka munyo man ngan man manungo wajo is saying he would get up early and stand by the side of the road leading to the city gate. Whenever anyone came with complaints to be placed before the king for decision, Absalom would call out to him, "What town are you from?" He will answer, "Your servant is from one of the tribes of Israel." Man gima Absalom obedo katimone ikwo en man ma kombere wacherka wunyane story en ma kombere wacherka wunyane. Then tell us that the conspiracy was strong and Absalom followers continue to increase. Absalom's revolt was not just political, it was personal. He wanted to overthrow his father. Absalom mirima mirro ya kadiko no nin romo nego wona nega mir en nego wona mir kom en no by any mean tiga mir lo komba wona ne ogi yo mo ken king David's kingdom was a house divided against itself. Latin ked wona no kombere nyola angeo David pot tiginge gi ker ko Latin per miro lo compare kirio enini ento don Latin kanyo tiero raja Wanera Ahithophel kaba story pa Ahithophel bino yen wachiga doni yen and Ahithophel is a trusted counselor was faced with a choice to stand with the throne of the son or the son. Ina kama Ahithophel tiga bino story pa dana ria pa David kachel gi wedani story na tigi man. Ahithophel tidola mi tam bod David I kingdom pa David. Chidong Latin per komberi tiga miro toro gamente panga pa David. Manyure ka Latin Absalom toro kompa David manyure dana chala Ahithophel gini nongo titugi doko peo. Enini manong kama choice chako binu ya miri na nyamun ngama tek ikin jona riyan. Latini malo muny wala David onong malo muny. Man kama komberi inongo nyamunu kama owego Ahithophel story pere o chako bino kere kama nina chako wayana munu. Isha mukene berogi lok nyo kejo nyo mago dani I ki mago ngan mo I cha mukene doko ya gigine karman duogo bino wana in. And forgiveness sometimes to come back and it will hurt you. You see, this is where the story of Ahithophel come in between the son, the father and the son. So, but he decided he would turn on David. Now, what drove this decision was in person. Ahithophel omago tampero ya ankageman achaka Absalom. Mirana chaka Absalom. Aweko David. Mirana chaka Absalom. Chaka Latin pa David. Pingo weko Ahithophel chaka chaka David. Manong kama wachaka winyo ngoma unforgiveness. Berugilo retwin unyo kana lori twini chero digi ma chaka wani nyo chaka unini en eye kama komberi story ne chaka bino yen. Was it personal? Was it ambition? Or was there a deeper wound that fasted in Ahithophel's heart? Menitiba chala la penma waramo kere muno onongo bero chal gimano Ahitophel tiga miria anything onyo tigi mirimo me bero gitela I kaka erni ineno Anyokono tie gin mo kane chwin Ahithophel kuja wego cherka making decision chal ine pini eno bedo ngan mo ma la kony ko David pikar malaj ber katigi David pikar malaj no ngo ma wego kumbe tamper chero logane kan wano ne munu Ahithophel had a granddaughter. Her name is Bathsheba, and if that name ring a bell dana nying mo ya Bathsheba ni ka waje lokal ene redie iramu ngene ka dana ma kwana Bible giramu ngene Bathsheba ni obedo nga inena wa. This is where the story is now coming right into our mind to understand where the unforgiveness will come and destroy you later in the life. You already know the scandal. She was a woman of a striking beauty whom David saw, desired, and took her for himself. Bathsheba obedo nyago mo maleng nyago mo maleng ikar chanani ilobo kama David tien wange David ngomu ber katimane ko ma eno ber ka ko ye Bathsheba obedo dago mo maleng gikin mon ma pola ta gi kama David gitien gi gumaraj wo po story en mene atemo lok ye David obedo ka kamo malo chi wango poro neno Bathsheba tiga lok chiro neno lengo ba Bathsheba ni chunyo poro ye onena mu ya anong dago ni akwanya o David then David, the same king who praised Ahithophel's wisdom, was also the one who seduced his granddaughter. What we know? Manyure Bathsheba obedo Latin pa Ahithophel. Inenwa. He's a granddaughter to Ahithophel. Bathsheba is the granddaughter to Ahithophel. And the wife to Uriah. Bathsheba is the wife to Uriah. Bathsheba is the granddaughter to Ahithophel. Inenwa. Man kama story kun wachago winyone chiro dogo kede mamit. Wadoga ngej. 2 Samuel apara rio. 2 Samuel 12 3-4. What is it saying? But the poor man had nothing except one little lamb he had bought. He raised it and he grew up with him and his children. It started his food, drank from his cup, and even slept in his room. It was like a daughter to him. Man gwok ma Ahithophel ogwako kedegi nga, ogwako kedegi Bathsheba. Okwo kede do dan ma choke kome, okwo kede ma chala latin ma mere, okwo kede ma chal gima ento la chan onongo obedo ki buong romone achiel logo ma onongo owilo chi odongo I chinge kachiel ki ilitino ne romone obedo kachamo ngire chame kun maro pi I kikobo ne dok buru bene wa I kore obedo machalo nyare inena wa man example mo wanongo ilogma Ahithophel ikare mar la wot obino bot dano ma la lonyo ni chi en pe oye kwanyo limne mo ma I kin romone kikome me tedo welo ne ma obino bote ni ento dok okwanyo romo pa dano ma la chan ni en aye otedo ki welo ma obino bore ni inena wa man story gini mukene ma wanongo tiga luwegi ngo ma ober ka kwano ne I book pa Samuel maluwegi Bathsheba Ahithophel David and Absalom Uriah ka jumuken mo tiga no nyingiri kan wano nyingo Bathsheba is the granddaughter of Ahithophel and Uriah is the grandson-in-law inenwa. David did not just sin against a soldier and sin against the soldier and a woman. He sinned against Ahithophel. Man gimwatika nongane mu. Kama bal obedotie David okwanyo granddaughter nyapa latin pa la kwar Ahithophel okwanyo David okwanyo uchiro o bedo kede kwanya ko do dago pere kado ko uchiro nego chwa latin per eroni man gimotime inena wa ento gigu maraj Ahithophel gike David ono gitido dana magingere gitiga ber kachiel gitigi ko kachiel kom wanenu gini jomuchal enini lit pe yot pe chiro ne yot lit inena wa Ahithophel gi kanye ni tiga timo gima eni ngenya munu eni tiga timo mabe pini David ochero kwanyo latin pa kono ba wore nyu kono latin pa nyare ochero manung latin manung nyaga badung mati ching la cho inenwa David ochero kwanyo nyaga ni chero ologo ko do dago pere ko nego ben gi chwa dago ni man kama keje pa Ahithophel ochago binu ye kere ikom David inenwa David kombedi dong giket Ahithophel winye kin gi moma be giket po beritie pini in ko anker kong chal in ka kombedi initie inena wa initie machalo kwar ngat mo ka ngat dong latin pere kwanya ko mero ri ngat mo kwanya gi ching chware ne mino chiro nego ngat en ko nu bedo kere en ni ada ki kom in ni man nyo an en ni iramo bedo gi yum twin mo ye nyo twin ramo chwe twin Ahithophel bedo ka chwe gom maraj ingeo wan machalo lo kristal waya munu timo kija be ki kwa kija be David gira chero kwa kija bolu banga o timo forgiving eno ineno wa lubanga we bal pa David ro ineno wa ento Ahithophel ogak gikejo erni chwinye ineno wa when Absalom, David's ambitious son, rose up in a rebellion and gathered men to crown himself king, Ahithophel joined him. A message from the prince sent in at once. It must be important. Man look pa Ahithophel ma ikarmanung Absalom ochiro Gebron gikwija Hebron kwijanung miranung yo otier en nung meber changa chalo king in wanung second king 15:14 to 14 13 to 14 Ahithophel left Gileon and joined Absalom in Hebron. There he betrayed the king at once. Once he served, the first thing he suggested to Absalom was not only strategic but cruelty. Man ngoma kaineno kejo mukene nywa wo mukene makai kane chwinyi icha mukene chiro logo indo do la balago ineno wa kejo mukene nywa wo mukene kai kane chwinyi kineno mabeko kai treating mabeko icha mukene ina ye mi logo do la bal wanenu kon kama look initie second Samuel 16:21 to 22 21 leba chul wajingo Ahithophel owacho bot Absalom ni dong itugi shiro bot mon angeja pa woru ma oweko gi kagwoko ot ti chi jo Israel duchu gibi winyo ni in piri dong odogo chwe bot woru mio jo duchu ma gitie tung bori kom gi bi yare woko ki tek inena that's 21 22 kid meno gigoro kema pi Absalom malo iwi ot chi Absalom uchago donyo iwi mon angeja pa wone ma jo Israel duchu gi neno inena wa I'll read in English. Ahithophel's answered, sleep with your father's concubine whom he left to take care of the palace. Then all Israel will hear that you have made yourselves obnoxious to your fathers, and the hand of everyone with you will be more resolute. So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and he slept with his father's concubine in the sight of all Israel. Kong one nenu kong lokal enin. Mantama Ahithophel omio bot Absalom. Pini David dongi kan monongo moro. David dongi gi palace giringo. Chirong man ngoma ngej mangoma gok David ringo ngej mangama Ahithophel tikede wiye pini ngeo gin moge ken malubo ke kwa pa David ge kwa ge ke go bedola mitam bo David bedola kon pa David for all that time ma karja muno ngi tikede Chirong o ka enino nong apoga kin David ka chel gi wode tie o miyo tam maraj wat bene o chwer twin David ongi kuja gire kono lo bangano obwaro bal pera ineno wa man gima Ahithophel tiga timone wegi o chiro twin David. Oh Lord, man ko pa David o chiro ko giro baga doga bolu banga tim ire kija. Oh Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. David's prayer was swift and desperate. He also sent Uriah the Archite, another trusted friend, back into Jerusalem to act as a secret agent planted into the heart of the rebellion with one mission: secretly undermine Ahithophel counsel. Mano, pini Ahithophel ochirtira Absalom. David ochwalo ngarachiel gi kindan mo nongyang en gitiu gi kedgi. Nyo chere oberi kama Absalom gitien me winyo tam chere kun mere chal ngat mo me chere ka beri chalo ngi gi raw David chere beri kin gi kun winyo ma gin gitimo kin ni angan gi ngoma gitir ga timone man ngoma kumberi tiga time kin joni. Ahithophel first counsel was executed. His grips over Absalom was tightening. His vengeance or ambition was unfolding perfectly and yet was not done. Ngoma tama Ahithophel tiga miene bot Absalom gin wang tiga time tiga teach ento pod bongo tieri tigi twin wat radio me tiro David ro total no mir David ro taw mir nek David ranera ko wek en go kono twinyo tweya man awo man kejo ma timo kidama no nya munu ka bal monon time ino kani iyo ga kedo iyo wengi Ahithophel obero gi kido tam en weko kumberi chiro ka no pero ingoma en no miro peo no ye pero. 2 Samuel chapter 17 verse 1 to 2 wajingo Ahithophel doko waja bot Absalom ni wek ayer dano alib apa Uriah wek an kikoma achak wot melobo ko Daudi tin idie wo manung plan me cher kanego David. Ahithophel o miyotam maraj ni Absalom o cheri kibadong David o ringoni cheri go mon matigang ba David kujani burker gi ka wang dano wek dano gino nen wek dong dano nenya inkar man imitek in mi be tam chane ni otio en man no komberi Ahithophel toto binu bot Absalom me wa ini nenwa mi ira wel dano en wek ana cheri Ahithophel doko waja bot Absalom ni wek ayer dano aliba pa wie ario wek an kikoma achak wot melubo ko Daudi tini di woni inenwa abi o bore ma nongo put o ol woro ma tamme bene goro wek atugi bango kome woro ki jo ma gitie bore duchu gibiringo woro abinego en kabaga keken man tamma Ahithophel tiga tikere ikom Absalom. This the plan of Ahithophel toward the kings of David. He wanted to destroy kingship or the palace of David. Why? Because David had an affair, or David took his granddaughter to be as his wife. He's not happy of what David did in the past. So he's holding all this history, all the bad thing that David did to his granddaughter. He's holding it in his heart. He's unhappy with David, with all what has happened. 2 Corinthians 17, 7 to 8. Kuchayo wajabot Absalom ni tamma Ahithophel okelonini pebe. Inano, kusai dok omede ki lokeni in ingeo mabe ni woru ki jone duchu gin lulweny mategu. Gin gituoni ma lugero, gitie ma lugero, magwa machalo gu, magge pilitino ne, ka gimago itim. Dok put amedo ni woru uyita lweny en pe twero buru ki luak kachiel idie wo man tam ma ngad manin usai ngad manin David or ni baro tiga mi tambor nga mi tambor abosolom nye inena wa in pe chire piu chir kod ma Ahithophel wajani pide ngeo kid ma wor tikere pi ngeo kid ma David tikere David ngad mo matek ngad mo mun muon pere te mir po chir chal eren tiga tich gi secret ma David o chalo kedi gi en chi gi gum mabe nyokono gi gum maraj David o chero o winyo lokpa la or ma David or ni o tiyo kere ya par chiel wajingo apar chiel mechir ya par riyo ento an amio tamma kidman ni wekjo Israel duchugu choge bori chage ki idan ni owa iber seba wek gubed ma pol marom ki kweo ma i dok nam in ki komi bene ichit kwedgi kalweny inenwa kit meno mio wabiporo ikome ki kabedo ma kome ki binonge ye chi wabichore ikome machalo toyo ma poro luk i ngom chi en ki kome ki jo duchu ma gitie kwede ngarimo achiel kingi pe bibuat man tam with a plan me achiel tampa nyir ene tiga logo gimo ma kay berka ne pingo kom mire do o gordano molo miro gordano ni manyure no o mio cha bot David gi chero gi yeno kakane onyo David gi chere distant mo gi bo inena man me achiel den me rio mio kare bodlo moñ pa David me yube bo ka tag moro mo bino no juno yube inena wa en ni kombedi tam en tiga balo tampanga pa Ahithophel ma omio bod abosol mnyamiro ti kedeni donc wano nyamno Asai painted David not as a weak but as a dangerous. It was a trap to give David enough time to regroup and retake his throne. Absalom, flattered by idea of leading Israel himself, chose Hosea's advice. He and all the men of Israel said, "The counsel of Hosea is the better than the counsel of Ahithophel." Inanawa. Tampa Hosea ni belo tampa pa Ahithophel. Pini Ahithophel miria gi kombedi miro Absalom mi ire to er kombedi ye dana ni ene chirke gi kombedi. Lakin Hosea waya wan kompuati mamun ko ati mamun ngeo joni chanani. Lo moñ pa woro lo moñ pa David gi tek ko achara mun kon joni gi cher gi tiyo wa wan kon wo bor gini kar eneni wa yer gini du sare lo wen wa yer gini dana wen wa keli achel ko were wa wa cher gini kar rumogi en man tam manyer mione miero joni kon gi te kare ento gi gum maraj nyokono gi gum mabe joni chero winya tampa pa Hosea la or man ma David oren tiga balon yo bot Ahithophel kombe. He carefully laid plan where started and the man who once held the power. Man tiga duo bonga Ahithophel tamper gini matiga miru tin manu mere ba me achiel nin kong tamme mo ti mabe chero bale manu mere tamme chero ka bale tamper wen makar kereni chero tiwa beko wen tiga kelirno chwe twin. He carefully laid plans where started, and the man who once held the power of king now found himself sidelined a war he helped start. Now found himself sidelined in a war he helped started. This rejection was more than a Heathcliff's could bear his pride. His intelligence, all of it had been disregarded. Riakopa gena weng odoko pe tijo gena per nena gin para eni idea para eni wa nenja la tiga bala cha para wa kwanu gini and second Samuel ya para biro piro dek wachero winyo piro dek wajingum ka Ahithophel oneno ni tamme meriago ni pe giye lobone otweo kom bedo i wikanane o iro iwie o ringo kwede igange ka o yubo ode duchu mabe chi o chero dene wo chi o to wo chot giyige iliel pa wone. This is the sad story of Ahithophel. Wanenu kwang Ahithophel ikarama onongoni munu Charles David otimo gimarach iko pere Sirong ogaka bergi David manyuri ga in wang ti chwinye tiga kwa gi David pini David tido king David lo kama en tiga beri yen ga in tiga wang chwiny Ahithophel tiga chwer chwiny Ahithophel until ono opportunity ma David kachel gi wode komberi gitiga odo wigi lo matela tega Ahithophel neno jom chaleni orore no opportunity pe nyiro na kero tera eneno karman ga mukene ka ini tiga ter ne kidma ini ter kede machalo dana chero do wana in o kamo o yen no do nino yero ga gi David do go ko per berti ento o yero tenge maraje o yero tenge pa wud pa David wang'eyo maber David bongo chero to Absalom ayemo chero to man kan kombir wanonyi munu ikom rieko ma Ahithophel ber katimono weng mene nyamunu kingdom pa David o chero lo kwanyo gi irani bongo chero ti plan per we mono mirio tim gama raju o tim we ko chol gimono yang David o tim kom latin pa nyaare ñu latin pa wodani we ko kwe chwini ya ko tim amunu ya ko kwe chwini wala ko tim ngone ya ngat mo mangeo eni pe man kama ini no nyamunu Ahithophel cha manu ne ya lo pare ma tiga timane wengno mo matiyo ne pe nen ngati ya waja man time ko waja man time ko ngo maraj o chako agire o chero gang pere o chero ker family per pinyo gino yubu gyo weng mabe ko kwanyo kabero pero agire chero di tim o chero dera ineno wa o chero dera ineno wa donc dana chal Ahithophel ki bedo ka neno ne di Bible o bedo do ngan mo manyie o bedo pe wine gi ket ento nyinge tie story en chal eneni man tie ka kama ini romo no nying dana chal Ahithophel gi ngom bedo katimane inongo en story matie maluba gi ko pa David gi bupa lukerme Rio second king second Samuel Samuel Mario inongo ye kuno man ka ini ber ka lubu story chal ene ni no ne mun poni wagi gam ken ma piera tek endo ma por po cher kuno wakwano gini kon bupa ngo wakwano bupa jabuli tigi mo bupa jabuli piera ngwen wa chiel chinge abongwen piera ngwen wa chiel chinge abongwen kadila remamba be tiga mayam ageno ma achamo kuona bene en aye dok o loge ka timo gin marachi koma man na ko winyi lok chal eneni David ma tiga lok eneni maloba gi tamma Ahithophel otimi koma pini David gi ket Ahithophel David ono ogeno Ahithophel o gi chunye duju ento pi gin mon ma enotimo cha men me chero ka kwanyo granddaughter per me maene o gi la choro ko kelone me berdo dago peren o wego twin Ahithophel chiro chwe ento dongo no ne bal kinen tido bal wego beddo bal pangatano ko bo bal jane no kelo do bal per chako ne David do ngatma raj ento pe no gi option mo karchan ber te do no ngene muna Absalom chako mor lwenyi kom nga ikom David o rore ye chako do changa chako Absalom chiro Absalom ku be gina bo chero ti ineno wa o chero do ku do duko to torere gino dere kero ya gigine en matido loser is the one who is the loser, not David, not Absalom, not anybody. It is him who hold that grudges. He was bitter. He was so bitter. He allowed pain, bitterness, and pride to grow. And when the opportunity came, he turned his grief into a weapon. His story teaches us that wisdom without the fear of God is dangerous. Man kamino nya munu ichamu kena on machalo dana na riak be ko ana ngeo pinyan lakin kena lo banga pe ye riako pererwa ichamu kena ramoterin kamu kena. We learn that betrayal, even when it seems like the right choice, will only lead to regret. Ichamu kena machalo dana wan waneno ga mukena mwatimo ichamu kena ini be nyu ichamu kena ni ento cha mo ka ro loka maka duogo la chien ino nya mun in madaka chaka pare pingo no do patim gini chal en no do mier patim jem chal en man ga matiga time po mameo wan kom weri machal kom beri waneno gi kir po kidma Ahithophel karge and that And that's no matter how wise, how powerful, or how successful we become, we must never lose sight of the value of loyalty, integrity, and humility. Inenwa. Man gima wan machalo dano miero wanenya munu kae neno watiga bedo gino machalo dano. Miero wakwo gi kwa makuno wangenya munu. Yes, gamara jutie. Dano gini romo balo borwa, dano gini romo chwero chwinywa, dano gini romo timo gimoma inoya munu. Chirne chere ken kong pe yot. Ento kawatero pego chal in waloko doko do mamewa waninge wan mwa duoko ka parne. Waninge wan mwa duoko ka kok ye. What gima ngan mo no timo no bedo bal pa ngat chanen. Lubanga ma wa mun lubanga en mangeo chulo ga weng ma beg maraj en ken mangeo tiche. Ka chera te ya ngat en timo gimo maraj kuma tinga ker chwinya mago ngare ni chwinya dingwa. En an matiga remo kere, en an matiga chwe kere. Ya gigine ana yi matiga wane. Ngat chani cha bukene gir gini kini ke lubanga no gir. Olego kija per bor lubanga kwa kija per bor lubanga gigi dog tiga ber ma be. Man gimo tiga ne kwa kirma David chemo kere. David timo bal ingi kar mu ngene ne timo bal okok ilubanga bino timo yire kija lubanga bor bal per ento Antiochel mo timo bal ko mani chwinyo gak ye munu chwinyo pe yom ya gigine time muni nong yomo were enek deviro time ya were nong yomo e marom gi deviro e memer tiga miro chulo ngamo deviro timo maraji ento dong ya gigine do ko loke ena ye mu chiro oto David bongo chiro to donc man gima tamanya mini chamu ken ramo konya an ka chiel gi la mera melu bunya munu kainen wakwo mago loki chamu ken dite pe chamu ken kom lubangi kom waja mun mier watim gine kija kenen wan watimo kija en mene won ma tiwi pole men itimo borwa kija gamara jutie wan gine watimo bal an lo timo bale koma an mena timo bale kom dano ento enini tido kid me kwo ma mewa machalo dane kar wadon kwo me balo danye lobo en man gam yini matie ento kinen ga gachal enini tie wan machalo dana pe wanenya munu wa mago ga eno doko do gime lwen do me wala do do weapon ma mewa me lwen la pepin la ling enini ino e cham ken ko dura wacha do par wa do no ni cha party man gima anana mo munu tin ko we ga nyak bene kachiel ki omera gi la mera ma romo lubu wan I kama jui wakero tamma mewa ye kidma story mo tikere kidma bible tiga logo kede ngoma miro wan ma chalo dano wati kere donc ageni alogo eneni machiek kaman maluba gi story pa Antiochel ki miro nyange ichero en kama kwan ye kuni book pa Samuel me Rio kwana weng chaga cheri kuida madita mer chagia pa agia bir ki chirkeru ya pa gi wie kuida 2 Samuel chapter 7 onward read from there you will find a story enini ma tigal lok yene do mir lok madwon ko wadong gini gi gumpalo bangane o ni mala chen ka eno ye wadwo gini wallo kan ana poa